All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get started. We have no mic, but I know I talk loud enough, and I'm hoping these guys do as well. So we'll start with you guys introducing yourself before we start the questions.
Okay, hi, I'm Jose. I work for Advanced, and I also do a lot for the Oxford housings here in the area. I cover the Wenatchee, Okanagan, and Willis Lake areas. So I'm a state service rep also, and plus I'm a recovery navigator. So
my name is Nick Baker. I'm the recovery coach supervisor with Advanced here in Grand County.
My name is Donna Bottineau, and I work with North Central Washington Peer Connection here in town. And I've been here actually for about 20 years.
I'm Cloyd. I'm a counselor at Renew here in Moses Lake from the substance use. Maleena Lopez. I'm also a counselor at Renew.
Well, thank you for being with us today. So we're going to start with the first question. We'll just kind of go down the panel. Can each of you take a moment to describe your role and what long-term recovery support looks like in your work day to day?
For me, I facilitate sessions, individual sessions with the clients that we have at our agency. Within the individual sessions, we complete treatment plans with the individuals to identify what their needs are. And every day is an ongoing process of addressing those. Facilitating group sessions, we provide them with education in regards to the triggers, coping skills, how family roles play into recovery and how to make amends with individuals.
Yeah, I also do the same, since we work at the same agency, we all have sessions, group sessions. I would say mainly trying to lead by example, meeting people where they're at, being transparent, consistent in the way that I'm delivering the information would be what my day-to-day looks like.
So for me, my role has changed a lot. I founded the agency many years ago, so now I've kind of phased myself out. However, the role of a peer, it fluctuates day to day because we're working with the peer on their recovery journey. So whatever they need it to look like, it's what our day will look like a lot of times.
Yeah, so for us, my role, I oversee an office of recovery coaches, and it's pretty wide ranging as well. So our coaches, we provide everything from peer support. People can come in if they have a substance use disorder, and if they just want to talk, or all the way to I need to go to detox treatment, get me there today, and everything in between. So it's pretty wide ranging. No days, no 2 days are alike. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I oversee an office of coaches, and then the coaches are doing the more hands-on peer support, peer counseling, visits, stuff like that. So
I'm one of the coaches that he oversees, and so and so what it looks like for me is like I just offer peer support. I'm a resource broker. I kind of connect people to where they need to go, and just sit there and talk to them, ask them how their day is, what's going on with them. And so that like he said, no 2 days are alike. Some days are, you got a lot of things going on. Some days nothing's going on. And so that's when I do a lot of reaching out, try to get people connected. And also, aside from that, I do a lot of work in Oxford housing. I offer guidance and support when people need it. And like they'll ask me to come into house meetings, do officer trainings, stuff like that. So as a state services rep, that's what I do, and I support houses all over the counties that I cover.
Thank you. Second question. What does sustained wellness really mean in practice? And how is it different from simply completing a treatment program?
For that one, I would say that when we have individuals engaged in our program and they successfully complete, they are encouraged to continue utilizing, all the materials that they were provided and learned within treatment. We encourage them to continue to, sustain and maintain their connections with their higher powers, whatever that may look like for them. Utilizing their coping skills, identifying the triggers, just addressing those on a daily basis because it's a daily thing that they have to work towards and not just on what they.
Yeah, I mean, just that willingness to take action, right? Consistent right action, build their integrity, be 1% better than yesterday is all we gotta try for. Have that balance, spiritual, intellectual, physical, emotional. Try to help them gain that. So a lot of people can complete a treatment program, but sustaining your wellness over time is all that other stuff.
And that's where all of us come into it with all the other stuff. The other stuff is thinking outside the box. As peer supporters, the sustained wellness is, it could be a phone call. It could be going out and doing an activity with somebody. It could be just sitting by somebody and in their time where they just need you to keep quiet so they can just have somebody be there. I've actually, I mean, wellness looks different for every person. I've gone from being one of those people that wanted to sit outside by the river and listen to sometimes I just need to break stuff. You know, and doing that constructively and in a place where you can get that frustration out, but still be able to do it in a functional way. However that may look to the person.
Yeah, so for me, when I think of sustained wellness, and leaving treatment, once you did a treatment program, I mean, that's where the work really starts, right? You know, because when you're in treatment, you're safe, you're around, everyone's there, is in the same boat, and you're kind of you're cut off from the world, you're kind of in a safe little cocoon, right? So when you leave, that's where the work really starts. So speaking personally, I've been in recovery almost 5 years, and I went to treatment like I think 14 times was my count, right? Until I decided to do something different, and made the choice to take some suggestions and get into a home after treatment, right? Where other men were in the same boat as me, but you still you have your life and you know, you still free to live day-to-day life, but you know what I mean? It's a recovery house, and there's whether that's Oxford House or just sober living. That's where the real work starts, you know, because you're exposed to the world, you have all the triggers and the you know, the things that, you know, real life stuff, right? But you kind of have a little bit of a program to work alongside the gentleman. So yeah, that's what sustained wellness means to me, is, you know, the long-term aftercare.
Yeah, and sustained wellness for me is you know, when peers come into my office, I try to build a wellness plan with them, whatever that looks like for them, right? Because recovery is different for everybody and people recover differently. And so what I try to do is I try to meet them where they're at. I just ask questions. What works for you? Well, how's this worked before? What happened last time? Why didn't it work this time? What kind of I try to find the you know, the whys of what motivates people to, you know, to get them going, and then just kind of go off of that. So, you know, and like Nick said, you know, it really starts after you get out of your treatment centers. And do you have supportive housing? Do you have all these things? Do you have transportation to get to your IOPs? Do you have all these things that these go into a wellness plan that we work towards it day to day? Some people, like I've had the opportunity of working with people that don't speak English and don't know how to navigate these things. And then that's where I come in and I'm like, hey, look, I did all these things, and I can speak to them and, you know, and tell them, hey, this is, don't worry, I'll be there with you. I'll walk this path with you. So that's what that
Thank you. This message is for Jose and Nick. Recovery navigators play a critical role after someone leaves treatment. Can you walk us through what aftercare planning looks like and how you help people build a relapse prevention strategy that actually holds?
Yeah, so for us in our office, we all draw on our own personal experience, right? What worked for us and what hasn't worked for us. And like Jose has mentioned, nobody's the same, right? Nobody's plan is going to look the same. Nobody's maybe some person just wants to go to detox for a few days and doesn't want inpatient treatment, or they want inpatient treatment, they want to move into a Oxford or recovery house, right? Everybody's you know, aftercare plan is going to look a little different. And what we began recently started to do is made comprehensive wellness plans for before they go, for while they're there, and then upon their like re-entry into society, right, wherever they're going to be. So we're we're making sure that we're, with releases of information, we're working along with their counselors while they're getting treatment to make sure they have a plan for when they leave. If that's what they're trying to do, right? And then pretty much wherever they're gonna go, say somebody, moves to Spokane to be closer to more resources. Well, we're gonna make sure whatever house or wherever they're going, whatever is near there, whatever ILP or outpatient treatment centers are around there, we're gonna make sure they're hooked up with them. We're gonna make sure they're hooked up with recovery coaches in their area, wherever they're at. We've got a huge network of recovery coaches all over the state. So pretty much just making sure they're all hooked up and filling the gaps and filling the spaces that weren't available to me when I was, trying to pull myself out of the gutter, right? And so I think just drawing on our own experiences is super important. And yeah, trying to be the resource that we really could use ourselves, right?
Yeah, I think Nick answered that pretty good. And there's nothing more I can probably add to that. You did a pretty good job.
Thank you. Okay, this next question, it's actually for you guys too. Recovery housing like Oxford housing is often a gap in our community. Who can access it and what does the pathway look like?
Well, I'll answer that. So Oxford housing, anybody can get into an Oxford house as long as you have an admitted substance use. And that you can start that when you're in a treatment center. You can, and with a lot of the peers that I've worked with, I make sure that they know that, hey, once you get to treatment, if you want supportive housing, make sure you tell your counselor that so you guys can fill out a application online at oxfordvacancy.com. Anybody can go on there, see the vacancies in their area all over the United States. Wherever you're planning to relocate, you can find a house there. And here, through the hard work that we've been doing, now we have 7 houses available, 6 men and 1 woman's. But there's usually a vacancy open and you get in there. When you're on the phone, you ask the house if they have a bed available. If they say yes, then you set up an interview with them. Then you do the interview on the phone, or if you're out of treatment, you can go into the house and you can have a in-person interview. And that's where, the house will ask questions and they'll gauge people where they're at in their recovery, and what's motivating them. Usually we don't like to deny people. Usually most 99% of the time they'll get in.
Anything to add, Nick?
Yeah, so when I spoke a little bit on my own experience as far as recovery housing, Oxford housing, stuff like that. So when I got into a house, I had to move into a house in Yakima because there wasn't any available here. So I just want to highlight the fact that 5 years later, there's how many 7 men's houses in a house, 6
and 1 woman's
and women's. So it's pretty awesome. I actually had the chance to. I was living in a house in Yakima, like I said, and I was driving over here to see my kids and my wife, and I had the opportunity to help open up a house here, the first men's house that had been here in 15 years or something like that with another gentleman. So, and then just to see where it's at today, how far it's come, it's just going to keep pushing. There's more stuff opening up because the need is there, right?
Yeah.
The need is here like crazy. We all know that. Everybody knows that. So,
and I'd like to add that there's a big gap in housing here. And so and that's one thing that we've been trying to work on is having supportive housing for people that are transitioning from treatment centers and institutions, to have those supportive housings available for them so they can rebuild their lives. It's essential when it comes to stabilization.
Thank you. Okay, this question is for Donna. The peer support model is rooted in lived experience. What are some of the tools and strategies you share with people to help them build a sustainable life in recovery, especially through the harder moments?
So peer support is based out of lived experience, but my experience is not going to be the same as somebody else's experience. Mine might be childhood experiences that built, the strategies that I needed to come up with. But the most important thing is that we connect through lived experience and feeling. So I can work with somebody that maybe they're coming out of incarceration. Maybe I've not been in prison, but I can tell you what it feels like to be locked up and alone. So just having that ability to connect through the feeling is huge. And knowing that we're not going to be that person's everything. That there is a place at the table for clinicians, peer recovery navigators, and all of those things are very, very, very. Without one, that's a gap that person has to try to figure out and maneuver on their own. And importantly, the most important thing is the connection that we can build in the beginning stages of their wellness journey and maintain that. It's not about pulling somebody away, it's about connecting to other areas, right? So through the harder moments, it's not getting, excuse my language, but pissed off at anybody, or they didn't call you. They'll call whoever makes that point feel more doable for them. There's a lot of things that my team can do that I am, it's just not for me. They're not gonna feel comfortable with it. But also remember that this doesn't represent what our history is, right? I present differently than the things that are going on in my own life. And so never judge a book by the cover. Always just be there for the experience.
Thanks for that. And then for Maleena and Megan, what ongoing recovery resources does Renew offer locally, and how do people connect with them after initial treatment episode or crisis?
So within Renew, there's several different services that we provide. There's our SUD department that offers intakes for individuals who are interested in engaging in group sessions to determine or to obviously be provided with education to learn how to refrain from use for long term. We also facilitate individual sessions, like I said, group sessions and whatnot, depending on what a person is, I guess, diagnosed with. That's what determines what type of group they go into. For our crisis department, we have some recovery coaches available within the community. Typically, when a person is needing a recovery coach, they are often seen in the ER for withdrawals and whatnot. What we encourage people to do is to request a recovery coach, and then someone from our agency will go down to the ER, or they'll be called to engage with them. Some of the things that they do provide is fast tracking to detox or residential treatment. So our recovery coaches will get in contact with the available detox centers within like Spokane, probably Spokane majority of the time because it's the closest. And then we also have mental health offers, counseling with therapists or their psychiatric case manager. It all depends on what they are recommended to engage in, but they do mental health intake. Then we have a couple of other ones.
We have a mobile outreach, which most of you met today. If you went to the tables during lunch or any other opportunity you had, they're here today, giving information. Basically peer support within our agency to help people get connected to community resources, transportation. We call vans a lot. Hey, you help us peer out, just because we're bound by different rules, so we have to utilize our community resources a lot. But we also have hygiene kits, clothing, food, snacks, all those things that mobile outreach is able to help with. The WISE program for youth, like a whole wraparound service, parent peers, youth peers, counselors, therapists, bring everybody to the table, help with their wellness journey. We also have housing and employment, which can be accessed as long as you have, the individual has a diagnosis of some sort. They can come and access those without needing to have an intake or an assessment or anything like that at our agency. So we've got what we hope to be helping the whole person and get connected with whatever piece they need to help them on their recovery journey.
Thank you. Next four questions are for all of you, and I'll just kind of I'll ask a question, you guys can kind of interject as you would like. What are the biggest gaps or barriers to long-term recovery support in Grant County right now? And what would make the biggest difference?
So there's a lot of things. So one of the things that we're really excited about, we've kind of thought outside the box and, we want to bring like art and, socialization back to, because if you don't have a social network, that, you know, that's a huge gap, right? Who wants to just sit and be alone? And when you come out of treatment, a lot of times you don't have those, you can't go back to the connections that you had before. You can't, you know, utilize those. So we are in the process of building, things like karaoke, art class, you know, hangouts for in the evening, so people do have someplace to go. There's lots of sip and paints, right, around our community, but there's no sober. So we're doing snack and paints, or, you know, just different things. You just have to think outside the box. And the other gap, that we're trying to connect with is, the showers and laundry. So we have some things coming down the pike, that we're really, really excited about, thanks to my team. And yeah, for those, that's yet to be like, no, but yeah, it is coming. It's very
And for
soon.
me, I always like housing, stable housing, supportive housing. A lot of people that come into, our offices, they don't know what supportive housing looks like. They always ask questions. And so like, the only thing we have here in Grant County is Oxford housing. But I support any type of recovery home, whether it's faith-based, whatever it is. I think the more beds that we have available, the more we can help people, and then, be able to connect them to resources once they get stabilized in a house. You know, once they have that, they don't have to stress on where they're gonna stay. Cause a lot of them, what happens after they complete their treatment program? Do they just go back out to the streets? Some of them have burned their bridges with their families. You know, they don't have nowhere to go. Some of them don't even have families. And so that's one of the gaps that I see here in Moses Lake is housing, and in other areas too. In Okanagan area, where we see that too. There's only 2 Oxford houses up there. So my focus is on opening more houses up there and, you know, continue growing here in Moses Lake. So.
Yeah, I would definitely say housing as well. I mean, for low barrier, you know, rapid reentry housing, it's rough even with the amount of Oxford houses we have, right? Say if somebody has a past, like a sex offense on their record or like arson of some sort, those are still barriers when it comes to recovery housing, right? So, and we've run into that in our office, and we just outsource, which we always do when you know it's not available locally. I mean, but I don't have to tell anybody here, right? People are struggling, even people that aren't coming out of treatment with the housing front, right?
Yeah.
So imagine you're at the lowest of your low, and you've burned every person and bridge in your life, and then you're trying to pick up the pieces, right? So I think just staying connected to people, making sure people have community, right? And that's why if whether they're in an Oxford house or working with a recovery coach or, you know, through 12-step programs, I think just community is super important, because I heard you touch on people are coming out, right, and they don't have those old connections. And I think the reason that you know, you gotta have still have a circle, right? A circle of support, right? And not the old circles you used to run with or it used to be in your life, but you need that, you know, we're all human. Yeah.
When we were talking about this question, we were thinking the money, the insurance, the things that pay for all of those gaps that are in our community is a barrier. Having that, accessing it, you know, all of that, red tape, that we all have to get through to be able to help, you know, guide and get those resources for individuals.
So being able to have insurance coverage and not have it, we don't have to have any kind of insurance or grant funded, so.
Which takes a lot of grant writing, and there's a lot of red tape to get that access that resource, which I think is a barrier.
Yes.
We're providing the service, and we can prove to you that we're providing that service, send the money to the bank.
I'm right there.
Okay, next question for the panel. For someone in this room who has a loved one on recovery, what is the most important thing they can do to support that person's long-term wellness?
So I would say, if you have a loved one in recovery or somebody if you're trying to help get into recovery or anything like that, I would say, definitely be as supportive as you can, but also remember to, maintain boundaries and take care of yourself, right? Because I've seen a ton of families, you know, that they go through this and they might, you know, it's like they're not suffering with the addiction themselves, but they might as well be there, right? It ravages families and loved ones, and it's a whole chain. So I would just say, you know, be supportive, but don't hesitate to take care of yourself and set boundaries and keep those boundaries. If somebody is in active addiction or an addict, if they see an inch, they're taking all 20 miles. So you know, it's way easier said than done. These are loved ones we're talking about. This is family. It's not that black and white, but I just say take care of yourself and set and maintain boundaries.
I want to remember too, that recovery isn't only substance use based, it's recovery, it's mental health, it's abuse, it's all sorts of different things. So, I myself as a mom, I suck at boundaries with my own family, I'll be honest. And it's really hard to sit back and watch your kids go through stuff, and not just be that hover parent. But you have to listen. You have to sit back and listen. That's the biggest. And it leads to be full recovery.
Yeah. Accessing services, you know, as a loved one, you know, you can put the information there. And if they choose to pick it up, they choose to pick it up and use it.
Yeah.
As far as taking care of yourself, right? I'm gonna give you the information. And then what you do with it, but I still love you. I got you. I'm gonna hug you if you need it. But here's some information for you.
Sadly, you can't love anybody better, right? I think the world would be almost perfect if you could, but you know, if that family member or your loved one isn't ready, there's literally not a thing you do to make them ready.
I think one of the things that I would say is maybe have patience for the individuals because they're going through the process of relearning so many new tools, their first time experiencing their experiences. So just be patient with them and be supportive of them throughout the whole journey of sobriety.
Thank you. Next question. What does hope look like in your work? Without breaking confidentiality, can you share what sustained recovery can look like for someone in our community?
I think, just, if you've met any, of the recovery coaches, the recovery peers, any peer support person in the community, that is what I would say is your example of what sustained recovery can look like for someone in our community.
This is hope.
I'd like to add, like, so I like to role model recovery to reduce the stigma, right? Because a lot of people, all they see is what's out there, right? But they don't see the successes that are happening in the homes, in our offices. There are people that are trying, that are going every day and that are fighting for their lives back, right? To get them back. I see it every day. You know, one thing that we want to do is build trust. And confianza with our peers and to get them and tell them, hey, if I could do it, you can do it too. And hopefully that inspires them and, you know, gives them the hope that they didn't have. Seeing somebody like for me from the streets and from gang life and doing all that stuff, having somebody come in and be like, hey, you were there too? I'm like, yeah, I was there. And I'm here now. And so, you know, just inspiring hope and people having those conversations.
Hope isn't about saving somebody's life. It's about giving one more breath, giving space for them to hold that.
Yeah, that's a golden question here. If someone in this audience wanted to connect with recovery support today for themselves or someone they love, what is the single first step you would recommend?
Call me. Call me.
It's a song back in my generation.
Yeah, there's crisis lines now, there's 988s, there's chat GBT that actually in the background will like hook you up with people, and I mean, there's a lot more ways, different ways to access support than there used to be, most definitely.
Just try not to stay quiet. Reach out to whoever, it doesn't matter what program, because they'll get you in touch with the right one.
I would also add to that, be curious, do some research.
Yeah.
You know, there's all different pathways of recovery, you know, there's holistic, there's 12-step programs, there's a whole bunch of ways that you can find recovery. Just do your research.
Yep. I agree.
Well, I think we have about 7 minutes left, so if anybody want to ask questions or Joey.
I just want to add something to that last question you asked. I spent 20 years in active addiction and I probably asked for help 3 times. And I think it's important that when someone asks for help, you have to capitalize. You have a very small window to capitalize. You can't just, I can get you in treatment next week. It needs to be like, get in the car, let's go, we're going right now. I think it's super important to note that if you have a loved one who asks you for help, literally don't even call, just drive them down to the office, so go to these organizations and make sure that they know that like they're going to be taken care of.
And if you have people in the jails, we serve the jails.
But
I'd like to add to Joey's thing, I did not know how to ask for help, I thought I could do it on my own, and when I finally humbled myself enough to ask for help, had I not been taken to treatment that day, I might not have even went at all, with the help of the company I now work for, so. If someone's asking for help, do all you can, if you have a loved one that is asking for help, do all you can to get it right then, because when the vulnerability of asking for help is hard for someone, and it can go away quick, and if you think someone isn't there to help you, it might be the last chance you get, especially with the drugs these days. Be your last hit could be your last hit.
So one thing that I do want to recognize is for loved ones, if you notice something, a lot of people aren't going to come right back out and ask you for help. It's the stigma within your family even. So if somebody's isolating, if somebody's laying in bed day after day, or they don't want to leave their house, or you're actually that you haven't heard from them, just reach out, because chances are, especially in today's world. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to burden myself or, everybody else with the things that I've got going on, right? Especially my family. So if you notice those little tiny things, reach out, just be curious.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we preach a lot in the recovery homes is like, check on your roommates. Check on them. If they're isolated, if you haven't seen them, please check on them, make sure they're okay, talk to them, have a conversation with them, because that could save their lives.
Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. So, we're talking about community reintegration and all the resources that are out there. But one thing, personally, I've come across is the background, cleaning up the background. Do you have any resources like that?
There are resources available.
There are resources.
For reentry jobs there. We have a list at the office of employers that will have their felon friendly, it's called, right? And there are after a certain amount of times, there are like attorneys that we can work with that we have referred people to, right, to help get their record expunged. So there are things. Yeah, there's things that can be done.
In lots of cases.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So he was saying there's things that can be done for these.
Yes.
In most cases there are,
Uh-huh.
but in some cases, it's just getting
it's
them
not full,
with
yeah.
the felon-friendly employers and somebody to give them a second chance.
Even housing though, because I have a resident who has been crying. She came out of Eastern, she has a bad one, but it's been years. And she's been trying to like live on her own. She's been doing very well in the adult family home. She wants to live on her own and get a job, but it's been hard. like it's been 3 years. She had, I don't remember, there's another company who was trying to help through the mental program, but it's every time they put the applications in, they will say, oh, she's been accepted, but then when it comes to the background check, it's being rejected.
What about a promissory letter? I'm so sorry, I just had to say that, like, promissory letters, actually do work a lot of the times for realtors.
Oh.
And we actually work with local realtors that will take promissory letters. If they're worded a certain way, then we can't get the resources for that.
Okay.
And it's always good to appeal anything that comes back to you. Just appeal, send an appeal. That could be as easy as letters from friends saying what a great person you are, a letter from your case manager saying, you know, hey, I've been working with Joe for a year and these are the things we've worked on, these are the things he's accomplished. So just be sure to appeal anything that comes back.
Any questions out there?
I did have a question, what, I guess you guys help with like, kind of hearing their backgrounds or, whatever history they have. After how many years and what class, the class of felony is it that they are able to clean?
That's something that we would have to look.
I can touch on that, because I've done it myself.
There you go.
In Washington State, Class C felonies have a waiting period of 5 years before you can vacate.
Class
Or,
what? C?
Class C. Before you can either vacate or get your rights restored, gun rights. They don't so much as take voting rights away anymore. Class B is 10 years. Class A is permanent. Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
We're gonna have time for one more question. I think you were next, sorry.
Yeah, I had a question. You guys don't know the name, right? I have my daughter. She's from Yakima County Jail right now. But I have been through a lot with her, like listening to you guys, like almost let me cry because I have been through a lot with her. So, I hear you saying that you guys can get a hold of them if they're in jail. So I don't know how that works.
speak with the gentleman right here, and
yeah.
they can schedule an outreach at the jail on Thursdays or Fridays.
But she could be transferred to Tri-Cities, I don't know.
Connections.
There's connections.
Yeah.
Yeah, every county in Washington State, there's a recovery navigator program that has peer support and recovery coaches. And I do a lot of jail stuff, so I know most navigators have access or some limited access to the county jails to try to bridge those gaps. So I would start by reaching out to Yakima County Jail and see if they have any recovery coaches or peer support supporting that jail. But then I will also fish through my email because I've done some stuff with Yakima, some of the people that were starting a reentry program out there. We'll see if I can hunt those folks down, and then I'll bring you some information.
Give me my
here
card.
before today.
And then I have,
Can I add something? It sounds like peers are available for family members as well. You need
So,
some.
I don't mean to cut you off by any means. If you guys are being available, there's a couple more questions. After the session, I do want to give a round of applause to all of you.